Well, hey Valley Creek students, and welcome to Student Circles. Last week, we got to have an amazing Easter experience where we learned that Easter answers the deepest question of the human heart. Am I loved? And it answers it with a resounding yes. Yes, you are. Once and for all, you are loved. The cross answers the question of, am I loved once and for all? And so the truth is that you are loved. But the question becomes, are you actually living like it? Check this out.
And so we're going to start a new series today for the next few weeks, just simply called Living Loved. And I want us to wrestle through that reality. The reality of whether or not we are actually living our lives as if we were loved. Because there is a big difference between knowing you're loved and living like you're loved. And I think a lot of us know we're loved. But if you look at our lives, we don't really live loved. You see, Jesus says, blessed are those who hear God's voice and make God's message their way of life. I love this verse. And if you've been here and you understand me, you should understand why I love this verse. Because this verse is the heart of our church. This verse is the heart of our church because we don't want to just hear what God has to say. We actually want to do it. Good American Christianity is all about hearing it. Kingdom Come is all about living it. And there is a big difference between just hearing God's voice and actually making God's message your way of life. And a lot of us hear God's voice over and over and over again, but then never do anything with it. We want to be the kind of people, though, that have faith that leads to action, that hear and then obey. Yes, we want to hear that God loves us, but then we want to become the kind of people that makes that message our way of life and actually live as if we were loved. And that's where the blessing is. See, so many of us think the blessing comes in hearing God's voice. The problem is if we just hear it, but we never make it our way of life, we get deceived and disappointed. If all I ever do is hear that I'm loved, but never make it my message, make that message my way of life and live loved, I get deceived thinking I'm living in the message of God, and then therefore I will get disappointed because I will say it didn't work. I tried it and it wasn't enough. See, the blessing, which means to shalom, comprehensive flourishing, fullness of life, the abundance is not found in the hearing you're loved. It's in the making that message your way of life. So I claim to know it. Do my actions support it? Because if we look at our lives and the way we think and the way we talk, and the way we move in our relationships and how we deal with conflict and circumstances and handle situations and how we treat other people and how we do our time and our finances, if we're honest, a lot of those things would say we're anything but loved. In fact, my question for you is how free are you? Because that will show you whether or not you're living and loved. Like, are you free from sin? Are you free from this world? Are you free from anxiety and depression and fear and performance? Are you free from worry? Because that's when it's moved from knowledge to experience. Discipleship starts with being loved. Discipleship starts with being loved. If you're going to try to be a disciple of Jesus without living loved, it's an exercise in futility. In fact, it's the birthplace of religion. Because you will try to conform, shape, mold your external realities through fear and duty and obligation and this constant pressure and burden, which by itself is the very nature and definition of religion. External confirmation without an internal transformation. But discipleship is internal change that leads to external change. He closed off his heart to his Father. And the moment he closes off his heart to his Father, he takes on the orphan spirit. The orphan spirit of, I'm going to do what I want, when I want, how I want. I don't want to submit and surrender to you or to anyone. I'm going to go my own way and do my own thing. I'm going to live independently because I know what is best. The moment I close myself off to the love of the Father, my heart will be full of love for the things of this world. If I close myself off to the love of the Father, my heart will be open to love for the things of this world. But if I open myself to the love of the Father, my heart will be closed to love for the things of this world. You see, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, they don't come from the love of the Father. They come from love for the things of this world. And when I close my heart to receiving God's love, there is now this vacuum, this void, this space that has to be filled because your heart was created for love. And if it's not full of the love of the Father, there is an empty space that must be filled, and it will be filled by love for the things of this world. The lust or the cravings of the flesh. You say, what is that? That's your cravings. I'm going to do what I want, when I want, how I want. I'm going to get what I need when I want it. I'm going to say what I say. I'm going to do my emotions and my feelings. I'm going to get it my way. I'm not going to have any self-control or any sense of reserve. I'm just going to satisfy every need, desire, feeling, emotion, thought, thing I want to say. I'm just going to do it. Lust of the eyes. What's lust of the eyes? Well, the difference between love and lust is love is goodwill. Lust is my will is to use you for my good. Love is my will is for your good. Lust is I'm going to take you and use you and consume you for my good to satisfy things that I have in my life. And then the pride of life, I want to put myself in the center and make everything revolve around me. And he says those things don't come from the Father, but are from the world. Which means when my heart is full of the love of the Father, my heart will not be full of the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. What will it be full of? The character of the Spirit, the eyes of Jesus to see things the way that he sees them, and the humility to serve in the secret place. Why? Because I don't have to be known. I'm glad to take the back seat and to just make it about everyone and everything else. Why? Because the love of the Father has so filled my life, I don't have a desire for anything in this world. See, here's what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to tell you is that holiness flows from love. Holiness is the fruit of love. If my heart is full of the love of the Father, there won't be any room for love of the things of this world. Holiness is the fruit of love. And I say, what is holiness? Holiness just simply means set apart, other, different. And we know that God is holy. He's set apart, he's other, and he's different. But why is he holy? Because he is love. And because he is love, he has good will towards everyone and everything around him. So there is no room inside of God for love for the things of this world. And we don't like the word holiness because we think it's religious and it's all about what you can't do. Holiness is the most freeing word maybe in the Bible because it's not about what you can't do. It's about what you are empowered to do. Every unholy thing in your life comes from a place where you are not receiving the love of God. Every unholy thing in your life is a place where you have closed off your heart to the Father's love. Every unholy thing in your life, here's the positive, is a place where you long for the love of God in your life. Listen to me, unholy sex, immorality, pornography, adultery, that's a longing for the intimacy of God's love. Unholy finances, greed, hoarding, cheating, stealing is a longing for the provision of the love of God. Every unholy controlling place where you control and you judge and you try to force and shape and make it happen and get your agenda and your will done is a place where you long for the protecting love of God. Every unholy place of fear and anxiety and depression and worry in your life is a place where you long for the loving peace of God. Every unholy place of anger in your life is a place where you long for the loving justice of God to make things right. Every place where there's unholy words coming out of your mouth is a place where you long for the loving blessing of God. But when I receive the love of the Father, it changes me from the inside out, and I no longer have the lust of the eyes, the cravings of the flesh, and the pride of life taking a hold of me. Does this make sense? Yes. Since you are all set apart by God and made holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with a holy way of life. You can't live a holy way of life until you first live as if you're dearly loved. Something is only worth what someone else will give you for it. That's the definition of value. Something's worth is only what someone else will give you for it, regardless of your opinion, your perspective, your preference. Okay. Well, if the Father gave Jesus, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, he who did not spare his only Son, but gave him up for us all. If he gave Jesus to get you back, then your worth has been declared once and for all, is that you are worth Jesus. Regardless of how you feel, regardless of your opinion, regardless of your preference, but you have to be the one to move it from here to here.
So come on, the Father has a limitless love available for you. The only question is your heart open to receiving that love? Living in love and living in freedom from the world simply starts by opening our hearts to receive God's love, to receive the Father's embrace and be fully immersed in his love. So, are you living loved? And is your heart open to receiving God's love? Well, let's turn to our tables and talk about it.